So, ready?
Sure.
It's not very enthusiastic, but okay.
Let's do this!
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Johnny Maloney and Austin Yorsky. I am back in America after recently going to Con Bravo, which is, unlike the convention we talked about last week, this is actually a good convention. I'm back in America after visiting Canada, the friendly neighbor to the north.
I've been there. Our
51st state. Old Coldy. And it was good. I enjoyed it. I ate at Tim Hortons.
Was it cold?
No, I'm just being a dick because America always thinks that it's cold in Canada in like July. It was nice. That would be the way to put it. It was just nice. It wasn't like too hot as it is right now, further south where I am. But it was fine.
Weirdly enough, that's actually this year. There's been a big push from our majority party of government to change the motto of Canada to Canada. Nice.
It's pretty nice. I enjoyed my time there. I would talk about how friendly everyone is because that's apparently another thing we assume Canada is. But almost everyone I spoke to there was either from America or was like the staff of the hotel and other like restaurants nearby, so they had to be nice to me. So it was difficult to tell if that's all true about Canadians all being super polite. But I had a good time. Like I said, I ate at Tim Hortons, and the greatest thing happened. I ordered a combo meal, and here in America, when you do that, you get the sandwich, and you get a drink, and you get fries, almost always fries. And I said, I will have the combo. And right before they gave me what I thought were going to be fries, they say, what kind of muffin will you like? And I was like, all of them. Because they had muffins. And I know that sounds like a very small thing, but the very idea that I was given non-fries as part of my combo was really the only culture shock of going to Canada, because I joked on Twitter that Canada is just America with different coins. There are obviously deeper cultural and governmental differences, but when you're just there, you don't notice anything being all that different if you come from America. It's a little, the coins are different, and your money doesn't tear. I was told that many times, that you can't tear your money.
We have plastic bills now.
Yeah, that's neat. Someone tried to...
Super neat.
Someone tried to pay with a torn Canadian bill, and someone said, that's not a real bill. That is clearly counterfeit, because our money doesn't tear. And the guy, who I assume is American, was like, what? So something weird happened. Either this person had a counterfeit bill, or he tried really hard and somehow torn it. And I don't know. But yeah, very small differences. Beyond that, superficially, it's almost exactly the same. But that's not why I'm here today.
We have fewer pharmaceutical advertisements on television.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I only briefly watched Canadian television. Me and a bunch of people from Channel Awesome and other people, we all watched Dora the Explorer together.
Yeah.
That sounds like a joke, but it's not. That's what we did.
Well, it's just because the way our medical system is set up is that, unless it's an elective drug.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, ask your doctor about Levitra. It's a doctor decides what kind of medication that you want. So you can't just be like, doctor, I've been watching a lot of TV lately, and I'm really thinking that I should have some Flocinase. Like, it doesn't work like that. So there's no market for, advertising pharmaceuticals on Canadian television. Unless they're, over-the-counter, Sleepin' Axe, or Hardenum, or Nosy Breathe, which are all real things.
Okay. I saw no Mounties there, and I do know that Mounties don't actually wear those red uniforms except for ceremonial reasons, but I was really hoping I would just get into trouble and would be surrounded by Mounties. It would be both terrifying and hilarious.
Even if you did get into trouble, it would not be necessary that you be confronted by a Mountie, because the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are like a larger national organization. They're like the hardcore dudes. A lot of places still have municipal police forces that I mean, we still, like, they're trained. It's not just like, can you spell A? Uh-huh. Here's your gun. But the RCMP are like, they're the serious dudes with the real mustaches.
Johnny, theoretically, if I wanted to go to Canada and commit a crime which would result in me being surrounded by Mounties, which crime would be best for those purposes?
Geez. You'd probably want to do something pretty vicious and violent, or really, really lucrative. So, like, organ smuggling, maybe?
Being a Mountie sounds awesome now.
It'd be really, really difficult to, like, just, like, let enough of your organ smuggling ring get out into the public eye before they'd be like, wait, is this guy really an organ smuggler? Maybe we should send the RCMP.
Get the weird hats.
So wait, if I just run across the border holding my appendix, they're not going to come after me with horses?
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
Do they have to ride horses? I mean, if I'm in a car, are they going to be by the code of their name have to chase me on horses, or is that all like bullshit?
It's pretty much just on ceremony.
No.
Yeah. Although, they do, how in some even American cities, they do have, like, a mounted division of police.
That's true. I see them in Baltimore from time to time.
We do have some mounted police, yes. We also have police on bicycles, which is way less majestic, but a little bit more modern.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we get into our, like, big, huge topic of today, someone is driving by my window blasting rap music. I don't know if you can hear that. Anyway, before we get into the big topic, I just wanted to talk about something stupid real quick.
That sounds like us.
Oh my god, can you hear that?
Are you sure it's going to be quick?
I promise I will keep it under 5 minutes.
No, I mean, you don't have to. I'm just saying that it would probably be more in the vein of our modus operandi to extenuate a stupid topic than to actually spend only 5 minutes on it.
Well, we'll see where this goes. I mean,
that was a totally improper use of the word extenuate. I apologize. I'm ashamed.
Well, here's what's going on. I am very fortunate that although I don't live in, like, the greatest or most amazing neighborhood in the world, or even in my own city, I do live right across the street from a convenience store that's open.
That must be convenient.
In fact, it is.
Wait, Leon, don't you live in The Wire?
I live in The Wire. I live in Baltimore.
Okay.
So do you keep hearing that one Tom Waits song, only done by, like, a bunch of different people?
You would not believe how often I hear it. But no. Anyway, there's this convenience store, and so I drop by there like a couple times a week, just like, because every once in a while I don't feel like going to the supermarket, but I'll need Diet Coke or something, and went in there to get a 2-liter Diet Coke, as I am known to do. And I walk in, and for some reason, for the life of me, I've never noticed this before. And I've lived in Baltimore a long time, but I've only lived in this neighborhood for about 2 years. And I've been in there like hundreds of times. So maybe this is new, or maybe I've just never noticed. But there's like aphrodisiacs in the convenience store, and they're not like tucked away somewhere where you can barely see them out of the prying eyes of children. They're not like behind the counter and you have to ask for them especially. They're on the glass where you put your money. It's right there, and they're not subtle. You know those commercials that would come on like at midnight and some dude would be smiling too wide for like extends, and he'd be like, and the voiceover narration would be like, "Oh, Tommy, he's got a special spring in his step. I wonder why. Ask about extends." And you get the general idea that's for your penis. But they don't get into explicit detail that this is sex related. Ditto even for the Viagra ads and things like that. The aphrodisiac ad that is right in my face as I am innocuously buying Diet Coke is a picture of a naked Asian man just viciously penetrating Chun-Li. And
it took my brain a second to register that's actually what you said and not like a fever dream I had in the middle of this podcast.
No, it's Chun-Li. She's most...
Now, is this a woman dressed up as Chun-Li, or it's like...
The official Capcom art.
I don't think it's like Capcom is endorsing this product.
Are we talking Street Fighter 2 Chun-Li, or like Street Fighter 4 Chun-Li, or...
It looks like a Street Fighter 2 Chun-Li, and I know it's her because of the outfit, but her bottom half is obviously nude. And it's very graphic. It's not like implied, and it's gross, for one thing. I mean,
Now, is this a real Chinese man and a cartoon character? Or are we talking
No,
Who Framed Roger Rabbit stuff here?
No, this is hentai.
Okay.
And I'm looking at it, and it's taken me a few minutes, well, not minutes, I'm not staring at it. Like, I'm just transfixed, and like 5 minutes later, they grab me. No, I mean, like, I'm looking at it for a solid 10 seconds, and I'm like, is this really what I'm looking at? And, like I said, I try not to be a prude, but this is a family-owned convenience store. There are children, their children, running around this convenience store all the time. And, I mean, I know that kids these days, God, I'm showing my age. Kids these days, see pornography by the time they're like 12. And I'm not even exaggerating when I said that. I think I read an article that said that. The internet, I get it. But you don't have to, like, shove it in their faces either. I mean, you don't have to, you can't, like, completely shield children from boobs and penises and whatnot. But these people own this convenience store, and they have their kids, like, right next to it, like, at eye level to this thing, in chairs. And I'm just I look at the thing, and I look at them, and I don't want to say shit, because... For one thing, I'm not that nosy. I mean, I'll talk shit about them on a podcast, but not to grievances.
That's the classy way to air your grievances.
And also, I like going there. There's an ATM in the store, and they have incense and sodas and things for, if I need a snack.
Sounds like a very convenient store.
It's like the most convenient store ever. And
also boner pills, apparently.
Yeah, and again, if you want to sell your boner pills, I don't care. Everyone wants a boner pill. I was about to say, you guys know what hentai is like. You watch it all the time. You know how in hentai you can't really tell if she's enjoying it or being just horribly sad. No,
oh my God. Is that what it's like? Apparently it's just normal, like, no one knows if anyone's okay with it.
I don't know, I regret bringing this up. But the point I was actually trying to make, like, a legitimate point. I'm not actually trying to make,
make fun of Chun-Li getting reamed at your local convenience store?
I'm not. I'm actually trying to...
Consensually.
I'm trying to...
Ambiguous. It's ambiguous consent.
Let's assume it's consensual, otherwise this is just gross.
Okay.
Oh my God. But the point is, I'm trying to say is that I'm not trying to make so much of a joke, although this is obviously inherently funny. I'm trying to say this is a convenience store. You have kids. This is as inappropriate as having, like, penthouses lying around your living room table if this were your house, because this is where you basically live. So you had
was the guy at least a Street Fighter character?
I don't know, because he was naked.
Yeah, I gotta make sure this is canon.
I just need to know if it's canon.
If it's Sagat or something, it's like, no, I'm gonna call bullshit on this.
Yeah, never gonna fucking happen. Never.
I want to see if I can find an image of this. I'm sending it.
Don't do it.
You know that I'll click on that link. I won't be able to resist. What happens next is on you. It's on you.
Okay, hold on. Just give me 1 second.
I'll tell your wife.
So what? I'm gonna tell her about it. It's just, this is hysterical. Hold on. Let me get my show here.
At least we don't have to find a title card for this episode.
No, there's no way I'm doing that. Okay.
Oh, you creatively beat it.
There it is.
I hate you, Leon.
Yeah, that looks canon.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's Ryu.
That's totally Ryu.
You're right. You're right. And there's his balls.
That's a good podcast title episode name.
There's his balls.
It's probably going to be the serious dudes with the big mustaches. But anyway,
that's a really awkward position he's got himself in, though.
Yeah,
he's got his legs over top of her legs, but she's laying down on her back.
This is disgusting. I can't believe I'm putting this in the episode.
He's got no leverage. Zero.
To our audience, I apologize. I was actually trying to have like a serious conversation about this, and then I realized who I am and who I am talking to, and I realized this was going to go foul.
Well, I've got a serious question for you then. I mean, is it any more appropriate to see these two characters engaged in an act of lovemaking than viciously and brutally beating the shit out of each other?
I guess we can get into the old debate of, I would rather see my children see the act of love than see someone decapitate someone else.
But he's naked and she's mostly clothed.
Yeah,
so you know who she is.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, you wouldn't recognize her as Chun-Li without the blue outfit.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Leon, if you cut any of this audio, I quit the fucking podcast. This is gold. This is solid gold.
I may have to cut bits and pieces, but
damn it!
But I'll try to keep 90% of this in. Yeah, they are making love. It's not an aggressive, violent act or anything like that. It's just that it strikes me as so foul because it's Street Fighter and because it was in a convenience store with kids running around that it's grosser in my head than it really is. It is, in fact, two people doing what comes naturally, but still.
I like it that it's multicultural, though, because even though you only have the Japanese characters, they have flags of many nations underneath it to let you know that this will help erectile problems in Japan, the UK, America, Australia, Canada, Korea.
Yeah, I love how you skipped one.
I'm not even sure what that is. I have no idea what flag that is.
And by the way, Chun-Li, I believe is Chinese.
Yeah. I was going to try to jump in and say that. You beat me to it. But
she doesn't need to take one because she doesn't have a boner.
I understand that. I'm just saying. All right, anyway, God, just the worst.
Or the best.
No, it's definitely the worst. Good God, what is this? It's an enhancement pill. I was wondering if, you know what, I'm going to say something about it.
I don't know, Leon, if you read about it, you might discover that it could change your life forever.
All right. Austin, there was a somewhat serious topic to discuss. If you want to take it away, be my guest.
Okay. It's been a really slow week or so for video game news. We're in summer, so there's not too much to talk about. We wanted to hit a couple of Kickstarters, and I feel really awkward transitioning from that last topic. I'm just pretending like we didn't say anything like this.
Real quick, I just realized that because this is Street Fighter, this is the first time I've brought up video games in any capacity on WordFunk. Go ahead.
So, I guess I'm doing the first one then?
Yeah, hit it.
Okay. The one I wanted to talk about was, I guess it's ex-Stalker devs, if you guys remember Stalker, the open-world shooter that people...
I remember Stalker.
We've talked about it before.
I remember Johnny talking about Stalker.
But actually there's been a couple of Kickstarters that promised to deliver on the feeling of that series. This one that I want to talk about, though, was ex-Stalker devs who had their Kickstarter... basically pulled down. I mean, is there any other polite way to say that?
It's been suspended.
Okay. The quote is, "A review of the project uncovered evidence that it broke Kickstarter's rules." Which, I mean, who knew Kickstarter even had rules at this point, right? It feels like you can do just about anything.
Yeah, I mean, if potato salad can go up there and it's somehow in the rules, I have to wonder what these rules really are.
Yeah, they didn't comment specifically on what rules, because Kickstarter's disclosure is a little questionable to begin with. But the thing here is, they raised more than their goal, and then it got pulled down. And then the devs accused a bunch of video game websites of slandering them. And there's also this weird thing, because the team is made up of Eastern Europeans, and they're saying that it has to do with the situation with Russia and Ukraine right now. Did you guys read this story I sent you?
I've been kind of familiar with. In the first place, the Kickstarter campaign is by a company called West Games. And it's for a game called Ariel, that basically, you're right. The guys at West Games claim to be ex-Stalker devs. And when it was first announced, there's another company right now called Vostok Games that was a whole bunch of other people that worked for GSC Game World that have moved on to make another game called Survarium. Now, Survarium didn't go the Kickstarter route, but they basically came out and were like, "Whoa, what do you mean you guys are key dev figures in the Stalker projects, because all those key devs in the Stalker project work at Vostok Games now." And there was a Reddit group that was calling into question whether or not these guys were actually super legit. Their funding goal was only $50,000, and they were promising triple A, this is going to be the most amazing, and they had their own engine, and even their Kickstarter video showed a bunch of assets from Stalker 2 development, which is shut down. It's that's still owned by GSC Game World, but GSC Game World has shut its doors. So people were saying, "Oh, this is a hoax. West Games is just trying to capitalize on Stalker. There's no way they can make this game for $50,000. And of course, West Games was saying, "No, we have other income. We just need $50,000." And it looked like it wasn't going to make it. But then I think they got a letter. He says with finger quotes, from President Putin.
This is where this story gets weird.
Yeah, who apparently said he was really interested in playing their alpha. And it's funny because Putin is actually a self-avowed video game player. He loves video games. So they were like, "Oh yeah, man, whoa, Putin sent us an email." And then I think also like Vice News wrote an article about them or something like that. And then boom, it their numbers shot up and they passed by their 50K mark. A lot of people are theorizing that the only reason why the donations shot up was because people who work for the company or are invested in the company may have donated that money. And that's where everybody is like, ooh, because there are strict rules about, pushing up your own monetary value in order to pull in what other people have donated.
Yeah, that's against the rules.
That's the rule that everybody is conjecturing that they've broken. But right from the get-go, this Kickstarter has been a little sandbagged with bad controversy. There's even there's a prototype of what the game might look like that a bunch of basically game artists and 3D artists have said, what the fuck, all you're doing is just using Unity engine assets, which you may or may not know, but Unity is a free engine to use. The only time when you have to fork over money for it is if you're actually selling stuff with Unity assets in it. So they're saying yeah, we're doing all this, it's our own engine and we're doing this, and their prototype footage appears to have been ripped right out of Unity assets. So...
Yeah, so this doesn't look legit. I mean, if you want to play something by ex-Stalker devs, you should play the Metro series, because 4A Games inherited some of ex-Stalker development team's staff, and those games are super good, and they capture some of the same feel. It's a more linear game, but I liked them.
Or Survarium. I mean, if you're interested in multiplayer shooters, Survarium looks to be like an interesting take on the kind of apocalyptic, although it's, you know, it's a little different. There's not this whole, like, radiation thing, but Survarium is supposed to be this weird, like, nature kicks back. And there's all these areas around the world where nature just starts going fucking haywire, and there's mutants and things like that. But it's exclusively a multiplayer shooter, which didn't really bother me, didn't really entice me.
I just want to say one quick thing. If I found out that Vladimir Putin was looking forward to playing my game, that would not excite me. That would terrify me. I don't want to be on his radar, because what if the game's not good and it disappoints Vladimir Putin?
Just send the bear squad to your house?
Poisonous bears, yeah.
Would you be able to tell they're poisonous, or would that be like after they've mauled you to death, then you start feeling ill?
That would just be a neat surprise after mauling.
This is just a little quicker and in a little bit more pain, with a little bit more vomit.
This is a good story to lead into the Kickstarter you're going to talk about, Johnny, because they wanted $50K to do this, like, AAA shooter. So if you have that number in mind going into the next story, I think you'll realize why both of them sound so silly.
Yeah. And I don't, like, you know, I don't bring this next one up to actually take a shot at anybody or anything like that. But this is kind of legitimately embarrassing for crowdfunding, I feel. And that's, if you haven't heard about it right now, what I'm going to refer to as the Yog Ventures debacle. Now, some of you may be familiar with the gaming podcast on YouTube. They're certainly larger than we are. Yogscast? Well, when the video game Kickstarter explosion just kind of happened, they decided that they were going to try and kickstart one of their own video games. I mean, I think it's something that any fan of gaming has ever, like, every fan of gaming has probably tussled with the idea of maybe making their own game. Whether it be, like, idly, when you're just, like, hanging around with a couple of friends and being like, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if, like, this game existed? Or whether or not you actually sit down and actually go through the process of making a game. Well, it seems that the guys on Yogscast did, and they decided that Kickstarter was the way to go. So the Yog Ventures Kickstarter started in spring of not last year, sorry, it was 2012, spring of 2012, and set a goal of $250,000. And they were just south of 14,000 donors, and managed to raise $567,000, give or take some change. Well, last week, it came out basically that the guys who were developing this video game, Winter Cool Games, that's Cool Games with a K-E-W-L.
That's always a good sign.
That's how you know you're getting quality.
Yeah, if you get something that looks like something someone said on IRC in like the late 90s, it's always a good sign.
So anyways, they basically, Winter Cool Games announced that work was going to cease on Yog Ventures. And Chris Vail, the guy who apparently runs the company, he did write a forum post that was a little bit, like, depressing to read, where he basically just explained all the things that have kind of, like, he's gone through doing this game, where it was like, apparently he got to the point where he had a nervous breakdown, he nearly lost his job, his wife filed divorce papers, it did not go well. And he was apparently behind targets pretty consistently, didn't hit milestones, and the guys at Yogscast pulled his funding. They said, we don't want to do this game with you anymore. Now that would be cool, and not cool, if then there was kind of like an alternate plan for what was going to happen to Yog Ventures. But a lot of people are really unhappy with what's come out of it, where basically the Yogs cast has said, and this is, I love this lingo, pardon me, where they basically said, you know, we're not really obligated to do anything. They actually said that in their announcement.
You could file a class action lawsuit against them, I guess, but technically, like, Kickstarter ain't gonna do anything.
Well, no, Kickstarter's not, no. But, I mean, Kickstarter basically places all of the responsibility of either giving refunds or product strictly in the hands of the person who kickstarts the business. So, like, Kickstarter as a company remain out of it. They're like, nope, nothing to do with us. All we do is provide a vehicle. We connect the purchasers with the sellers.
And they collect their 5%.
Yes, of course they do. Why wouldn't they? But yeah, so the Yogscast guys wrote in an email that they were under no obligation to do anything, but they were going to do their best to make this right. And what that has come out as being guys who have backed Yog Ventures are now going to get copies of the early access game Tug on Steam. And apparently, all of the assets that Winter Cool Games has worked on is going to go to the guys who are working on Tug currently, who announced earlier this week, maybe last week it could have been, that they were working with Yog Ventures now. And of course, Vale, the guy who is behind, Chris Vale, behind Winter Cool Games, has gone ahead and publicly admitted that there's $150,000 of all of that Kickstarter money that's gone right back to the Yogs cast now. And there were people debating about whether or not there was, purposeful obfuscation about who was actually in charge of the Yog Ventures Kickstarter, because when you go back and look at the Kickstarter, it very much presents itself as being a Yogs Cast Kickstarter, where they're like, we at the Yogs Cast this, etc., but then when you read the emails and the statements about the closure, it's very much like, yes, Winter Cool Games kind of failed us. Winter Cool Games, blah, 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 blah. So, dark side of crowdfunding, guys? Is this a case of, lack of transparency? Should the buyer have been more beware at this point in time?
I mean, whenever we talk about failed Kickstarters or problematic Kickstarters, we always say, it's a risk. If you put your money up, you might not ever see it again. You should research it and know who's doing it. You should trust, Double Fine or whoever. This is one of those cases where it's like, these people had a name, they have a reputation, the Yogs people, not the Winter Cool people. So I could see fans, handing over their money without too much worry. The thing here is, though, once you read, the breakdown, they completely misunderstood what it is to make a game. They got $500,000, but then when you take out Kickstarter's fee, you take out, they gave $70,000 to an artist or something, $35,000 to an artist who didn't do anything. It was not contractually obligated to do anything.
2 weeks. He was there for 2 weeks, and then he got full-time employment at another video game developer. I think it was LucasArts or something like that at the time. Yeah. And he walked out with a lump sum of $35,000 because his contract didn't say, this is how much work you have to do to get paid.
And then, just looking over the itemized, receipts, you got $15,000 for hardware. All the money was gone, immediately. Video games are so ridiculously expensive to make that they didn't have enough to hire a programmer after, the preliminary work was done. And that's at $500,000 that they brought in. Can you imagine, the Kickstarter we talked about before, where they only got $50K to make a polished shooter? It's madness. And the thing about this is, the guys they have in charge of it, this Winter Cools people, they've never made a game before. I was reading the main guy who ended up in charge of the project,
Chris Vale.
he was teaching himself C like during the Kickstarter campaign. Like he doesn't know how to program, and he became like the head programmer.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anybody else to hire. Like this is like if you, me, and Leon started a Kickstarter to make a game, and then we're like, we'll just wing it. It'll be fine. Like they genuinely didn't know what they were doing. This isn't even like I don't even get any Schadenfreude out of this. This is just kind of like upsetting.
Well, what do you figure though? Like who's to blame for this situation? Are the Yogscast people to blame for putting their faith into this guy that they obviously didn't do enough background information into? Do we blame the donors, and do we say, well, you had all the opportunity to actually do background checks, to look into these people, to try and see what they did, and if you couldn't find any information, well, that's probably a good indication that you shouldn't hand your money over.
I mean, either they didn't vet the people properly, or someone was misled about someone's capabilities, or no one likes using the word scam, but it's like if there's $100,000 unaccounted for, there's that idea out there. I'm not going to say it. I guess I already did, but because there's no work, nothing got made.
Yeah. Well, we don't know about that. They have the guys at Yogscast have said that they've seized all the assets that Wintercule worked on. And they're going to Tug, the developer of Tug Games, and Tug has been like, oh yeah, we're working with Yogscast now.
Yeah, but what is there to salvage? They didn't have a lead programmer. All they have apparently is like skyboxes and stuff. They don't actually have any content, and they were making apparently a huge sandbox video game.
And that's the thing, is that there were a lot of people that are bothered because they already own copies of Tug. And now they're being like, oh, yeah, we don't have to do anything about this, but have a copy of Tug. That makes it all better.
Yeah, that wasn't the best PR move. Also, you keep saying Tug, and it keeps getting funnier. That's a terrible name for anything.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Leon. How far are you in Tales of Graces?
Not very.
You dirtbag, hurry up.
I've been in Canada, and I've had so much extra stuff to do lately that me getting like half an hour every few days is all I can really muster. I've progressed, but I just don't have much time. I'm gonna try to make more time for it in the coming days. So we shall see.
Johnny, whatever happened to, was it Gary the War Turtle? Did you ever play with Gary again?
I haven't gone back to Pokemon in a long time, unfortunately. Although, I'm sad that we're ragging on Kickstarter this week, because I just did get access to the alpha of The Long Dark today.
I remember that.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the past, of where it's like a survival game sans the horror, where it's like, hey, you're in the, fucking Northwest Territories of Canada. It's fucking freezing in the middle of winter. Live. And so I got access to the Sandbox Alpha. They're keeping the story mode under wraps right now. But I popped my head in today as soon as I got home before we recorded the podcast just to see, and I managed to survive the whole of 1 hour and 5 minutes in game time, which is probably about maybe 20 minutes. I got killed by a wolf.
So, pretty good?
It looks interesting. I mean, it's still in rough alpha shape, but it looks beautiful, and I've, never in my life have I been so relieved to see a can of pork and beans in, any media whatsoever. It was just they had actually had there's a calorie count of how many calories you have in your store, and gradually you lose kind of a percentage of your well-being according to how cold you are, how hungry you are, how dehydrated you are, how tired you are. And it's I finally came upon a forest observation station, and I was like, oh my god, there's got to be something inside here, and I found a can of pork and beans, and I was like, oh thank god. Pork and beans. I played a bunch of other video games this week too, but I mean, I'm always kind of sad when I see successful crowdfunding stuff just go south, because so many. I haven't donated to a project yet that's fucked up.
Well, because you know what you're doing. You do your homework.
I guess, but it just it's these stories that come to the front page now. Yog Ventures and Ariel and it just, nobody's like, oh hey, yeah, Wasteland 2 is ready to be released next month, and I'm like, or
Star Citizen cracked 50 million or some shit.
Almost. They're halfway between 49 million and 50 million. But I mean, still, that doesn't mean that we're going to see a final game. It's not out till it's out. It's not. Having those numbers behind you means nothing. I mean, if there's any lesson that I can learn from the Double Fine documentaries, it's that, just because you get a little bit more money than you thought you were going to get. Actually, no, I guess $2.5 million is a lot more money than you thought you were going to get for Tim Schafer. He still designed a game that was too big.
I still haven't played the first half of Broken Age yet. I'm waiting for the second. I'm going to play it all at once. Same thing with Wolf Among Us and Telltale.
Wolf
Walking
Among
Dead.
Us is out now. Wolf Among Us is out now.
I've been waiting now. I had
a friend bully me into it, and I kind of hate him. He was like, no, you got to play it now, because I want somebody to talk to while it's going on. And, of course, we never fucking talked while it was going on, but every single time I finished a goddamn episode, I was like, no! No! No!
Have you seen that compilation of every time Nathan Drake says no in Uncharted?
No.
I'll send that to you. It's not something we can talk about. It's just that and he says it so many times. It's hilarious when you put them all together.
Yeah. So do your Kickstarter homework, kids.
I guess that's what we can take away from this episode. Anything else we want to discuss before we go?
I'm watching Farscape.
Neat. I watched the first season, loved it, and then for some reason stopped. I have no reason. I have no idea why.
I'm trying to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion right now, and it is the most painful thing I've ever put myself through. It is the worst. Just the worst.
How far in are you?
About halfway, 13, 14 episodes, I think.
Yep.
It is bad.
I think you might be above its intended demographic, age-wise.
I mean, the sad thing is, I think I would have dug it if I would have watched it when it came out, or maybe when I was in middle school or something. It feels like something that would have spoke to dumbass me in my teens.
Yeah. When I was self-important and fucking 16 years old, it was the most profound thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Remember
those days?
It's all about me.
Oh.
No one understands.
Yeah.
I'm watching True Detective. Final. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. For God's sake.
Oh, the odd.
I'm 5 episodes into the 8-episode season, and I already feel like this is the show I've been waiting for my whole life.
It's pretentious and a little bit macho, too macho for me, but it's the acting and the cinematography is fucking fantastic.
It's just pretentious and macho enough for me, man.
There's I think it's in episode 6. There's a 6-minute.
No, it's episode 4.
4? Oh my god.
The tracking shot?
I love
Holy
that shot.
Shit.
I love that shot.
Yeah. There's only, the only other time I've ever seen that done was when John Woo did it in the hospital in Hard Boiled. And I'm honestly, True Detective is I love that sequence more.
The show makes me happy and sad at once. It's pretty damn good. And I'm really excited because even though I don't know how the season ends, I'm already looking forward to season 2. I keep hearing casting rumors and things getting shot down, and all I know about season 2 is that apparently it takes place in California, and they're just not letting anything else leak until we know. Oh, and another cool thing about the show that I just learned, unlike most shows that are sort of written by committee, one guy wrote all 8 episodes, and he's writing all 8 of the next season episodes as well. So I think that's pretty cool that it has sort of a singular focus where it feels like it's a novel rather than a television program, which is sort of there's going to be at least a few writers. If it's a sitcom, there's 7 or 8 guys sitting around a table saying, and then the guy farts. And is that funny to you? And then the episode gets made. That's exactly how sitcoms work. Don't dispute it.
That was one of my biggest problems with the second season of The Walking Dead, actually. The first season was so solid, and they had this, like, core team of, like, just a few writers that were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. And then, of course, since it made it so big, they fucking canned them all. And we're like, yeah, we're just gonna have writers, like, mail in episodes now. So they, like, sent outlines to, like, 12 different writers to be like, write this one episode. So the whole second season of Walking Dead was just this schizophrenic mess for me, where it was just like breaking character and like the same scene because it was like, okay, apparently these two guys didn't actually get to read each other's drafts, so...
My favorite part of The Walking Dead Season 2 is when Lori just, like, leaves the farm for no reason and crashes her car like a fucking idiot. Like...
That was like
the
in
most
the notes.
contrived thing.
Lori has to crash the car. Oh right, fuck! I forgot to write that into the draft.
Why? There was no traffic, you asshole. How do you crash a car during an apocalypse? There's no one on the roads.
Sorry, you finished your thought about True Detective there, Leon.
Oh no, I'm in love with the show. I think it's great. I think it's awesome that they have not only big stars, but big stars who can act really well in these roles. And I mean, I know that like 5 years ago we wouldn't be saying that about Matthew McConaughey, but he was always a good actor in bad movies, basically. And then he just stopped doing romantic comedies because they stopped making as much money. So he's like, wait a minute, I'm actually not a bad actor. I can maybe I'll just do good shit. And he did, and it's been great pretty much for the last few years.
I really struggled with it when they were advertising the show beforehand, because it was like Woody Harrelson. I was like, oh, Matthew McConaughey. Oh. I was like,
just how shirtless it's gonna be.
I was like, were you guys drunk in the casting room? What's going on here?
Yeah. Oh, the show looks so great that it actually convinces me that Woody Harrelson might just have hair. And there's no way. I mean, I know it's a wig, but it's like, does Woody Harrelson secretly have hair, but he just shaves it to make everyone think he's older and grislier? That it's that good. I just love the show. I just think it's great. We're sort of running low on time. Anything you want to say before we go, guys?
I'm surprised we didn't say anything about like the King in Yellow stuff in True Detective.
Well, I'm not quite there. I'm not quite there. I've heard they keep talking about this person, but I'm only on episode 5. So
it's a collection of short stories from the 1800s. It's not a.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to give me a huge spoiler or something.
It is not. It's not. The thing is, it's a collection of stories not named The King in Yellow, but The King in Yellow is, or is it? Is it a book? I don't know. I can't remember anymore, but I know that it's a running theme in that The King in Yellow is a play that a character or the characters find in the book. And it's like, if apparently no mortal human has ever read through the complete play because they always go insane by the end of the first act.
None of this spoils True Detective. It's just a motif.
Okay.
In it that it informs it. It's also the thing that inspired Lovecraft to do some of his weird shit, and I just love that about it.
Cool.
Yeah. So, cosmic horror.
That's my favorite part of that. When the first episode of True Detective, when they go on that scene, that crime scene, and someone's like, man, this is some satanic shit. I was like, no, that's not what Satanism looks like. Thank you, degree in religion. I know what's going on. This is amazing. So, yes, also the acting's good.
All right, everybody, that is about enough for this week. We have talked about some really important financial and business-related things, and we have talked about penises. And
I got something to say before we go.
Oh, okay, all right.
You guys know that old saying that if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's probably a duck?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If it tastes like chicken, that don't mean it is.
Actually, last thing, I don't even know what that was about, but in the last episode, someone in the comments said, hey, Leon, one of the guys you podcast with is an asshole, and I just wanted to clarify, it is not me.
Okay.
I think it's Sean.
It's probably Sean.
Yeah.
I don't read comments at Take with Take. Anyway, on that kind of dickish note, I am going to say goodbye for now. Watch Renegade Cut and things.
Yeah, watch Renegade Cut.
Why not?
It's good.
It's okay. I'm working on something. I'm working on something right now. It's one of the episodes that because someone paid me to do it through Patreon, I am obligated to do it. It's a tough one. I'll just say it now because it'll be out by the time this comes up. It's called Four Lions, and it is a dark comedy about Muslim terrorists. Someone decided.
I know the movie that you're talking about, and it's fantastic.
It's not a bad movie. It sounds like it would be. Anyway, so I'm doing that because someone paid me to do it. Afterwards, I'm going to just do the projects I want to do. So expect things like Jurassic Park and The Clockwork Orange, multi-part, both of those things coming soon. And that's it for us. Any stupid last words that we usually do, guys?
Fight Club 2.
Yeah,
Exists.
Fight Club 2 will be a thing.
Those are some stupid words.
Don't walk it off. Sit the fuck down. Seriously, you just hurt yourself. You need to recover. Ice packs, drink plenty of water, get some rest.
Don't listen to him. Rub dirt in it. Get back out there.
Bye.
Austin, tell me about the state of your knees again.
Whoa, low blow.
Oh, by the way, everyone keeps asking me about this. Art of Gaming is not available online anymore. Just deal with it.
Can you buy it like MP3 set or something like that?
It doesn't exist, and I don't want it to. Goodbye, everyone.